Yo, what's up guys, it's me Jake here, and I'm going to be doing another review, and not just any old first impressions review. I'll be doing a full-on review. Now, I'm not going to try to do any spoilers in this review, since I feel like this series, if you spoil one thing, it might spoil a lot, because it's a lot of twists and turns, and it might affect how you read it a lot. So I'm trying not to spoil anything in case you've not watched it or read it. Watched it, read it? I think it only has a manga. What the hell? In case you haven't read it, and it's amazing, and it's by Shuzo Oshimi, and it's my intro into Shuzo Oshimi, and that is Happiness. Now, Happiness is an amazing manga. I think it was great, and I'm going to just go into a little bit of a synopsis, since it's really great, and I don't want to say anything more than that, so just go into the synopsis. So, to get into the synopsis, we follow a kid who's in a middle school named Mikoto Okazaki. Now, it's not just he's in middle school, he's not really has... Now, for a synopsis of Happiness, it's kind of difficult to say one without spoilers, but here I'll go trying. Basically, we follow this kid named Mikoto Okazaki. Now, he's a middle schooler who kind of gets bullied and doesn't really have any friends until he gets hit by her. And by hit, I mean bitten, because she is a vampire, and he gets attacked by her in the middle of the night while he's trying to return a DVD to his friend, and he becomes a vampire, and the questions arise of, is it curable? Is it bad to be a vampire? What is it to be a vampire? Etc, etc, etc. And he then later on gets more friends, and it's really just a struggle to see how they can help him with his vampirism. Now, it's a really great manga for that, and I think the art is amazing. Like, there's some 2-page spreads in here that I really just think are amazing. Like, this one I used in my Instagram post. This is an amazing 2-page spread, and this happens in the first chapter. I think there's a lot of those that emphasize important things that happen in this manga and just really just push emotion out of you, and that's something that's amazing with this manga. It really has a way of pushing emotion out of you, either it be happiness, sadness, guilt, regret. You feel a lot of emotions through these twists and turns that occur in Happiness itself. Now, if you want me to talk about the characters are amazingly written. Even though I'm not really a big fan of Okazaki and Gosho, I think they are pretty great characters as well. I really do think that Yuki is probably my favorite character in this whole series. Now, Yuki is an amazingly well-written character with a lot of development, and if you look at all these like separate characters alone, they all have very varying ideologies, and the ideological difference between all these characters really make it interesting to see how they interact with each other, and that's something that you don't really see in every manga. A lot of the manga that are of this caliber, like Tokyo Ghoul, a lot of them have very similar ideologies when it comes to their characters. Like, every character has a similar ideology, and they're opposing each other's ideology, and it makes it even better, because seeing that many people oppose each other's ideology is so great. Now, I'm going to stop saying ideology because I'm saying it way too much. There's probably going to be a counter right now to see how many times I said it. Yeah, but that is something that isn't really shown in too much manga, and to see how much different the antagonist is. Now, I'm not going to say the antagonist's name because that's also a spoiler, and he is just the epitome of a broken human. He is such an amazing antagonist, and unlike a lot of those things like Tokyo Ghoul, he isn't a ghoul or vampire in this case. He is a human that aspires to be a vampire. He wants to be a vampire. He dreams of being a vampire. And seeing that be our villain is super interesting to see, because it takes a whole flip on it. He wants to become what they are. He wants to become godlike, as he says, and he thinks it's just a huge goal of his to just get to that level. When these people like Okazaki see that, and they're like, I don't see how anyone would want to be like me. It's a very painful experience that no one should ever have to go through, and seeing that battle between the two in ideologies is amazing. And I just said it again, and I messed it up again. How am I messing up ideology? Go into my opinions about the story. I think that the art is amazing. I think that helps drive the story greatly, and just because it's a very art-driven story Doesn't mean the story isn't too fleshed out, because it's very fleshed out. The story has a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of times where it just like gives you a lot of details, but that does not mean it isn't a fast read. This I've read in all of like 3 hours, and it's a very quick read. I think most of Shuzo Oshimi's works, from what I've heard, are decently quick reads, and this one is no exception to that, because there's just mainly a lot of beautiful backgrounds and art that really just make this so interesting, and it emphasizes so many things, and I can't say anything else. I think that this manga does a lot right and very minuscule things wrong. I think that there's only one thing wrong with it, and that is, give me a second, this volume right here. I think this is the only downfall of this manga, haha, Inyo Sano joke, but this is a very big pitfall for the manga. Now, I'm not saying this volume is bad, it's just, in my opinion, it just left off on a cliffhanger in volume 5 that hopes that the pacing would still be as fast as it usually is, because this is a pretty fast-paced story, and then this volume takes a huge turn and slows down the pacing a lot. Like, a lot. And now, I'm not saying that it becomes a slow read, I'm saying that it stays a fast read, it's just the pacing of the story is going from like a 110 out of 10 to like a normal 7 to 8 out of 10 when it comes in pacing and speed differences, and that's a huge like just pace difference. It's something that is kind of annoying to see, but not really too bad. I mean, it makes sense when you read it when it comes to that like slower pace, but it isn't really that amazing to read. Now, I still would give this volume probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. I'll give the rest like 9 to 10 out of 10s, because the rest is amazing. And after that volume, it does pick up again, but there's something that's amazing to see is how they pick up the pace again in this kind of story. Mostly because there's also monthly chapters that release, so it's kind of hard to get that momentum back, because you have to do it not like 4 times a month, but only once. So you have more time to think about the story, but less pages to do it in. And how Shuzo Oshimi does this in 1 or 50 chapters is just insane to bring out a story like this. I really enjoyed it. The characters were amazing. The pacing, all in volume 6, was insanely great. I think it should have been fast, and that pacing was amazing for this kind of story with this fast pace and all these twists and turns. The art, 10 out of 10. I think this is one of my favorite art styles I've seen in manga. I love the character design. I think Shuzo Oshimi really has a talent for drawing insane girls, and it's just so great to see how well this is drawn, and it just brings out so much. Like, I'm probably putting a bunch of 2-page spreads on the screen right now, and it's just great. I definitely highly suggest picking this up if you're into series like Tokyo Ghoul, or if you're just a Shuzo Oshimi fan, if you've read like Blood in the Tracks or Flowers of Evil. I probably think that you would like this as well. Of course, this is my intro into Shuzo Oshimi, and I don't have anything else, but I would definitely highly suggest it, because there's not much else like it. I think that this is such an amazing manga. There's not much that can top it, in my opinion. I think it's probably going to be in my top 10 as of now. I'm probably going to make a later on list of my top 10 manga ever, and this will definitely be on it. And it's kind of annoying that I read this in 2021, because this easily would have been in my top 3 or 4 for 2020. And it's just so amazing. I'm hoping I don't forget to include that on my list for 2021, my top reads of 2021. But it will definitely be there, because goddamn, Shuzo Oshimi, you are a mastermind with this series. Now, that's it for this video. If you did like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you like my content and want more of it, please follow my socials, Instagram or Twitter. And yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace!